Oh boy, sweet viewers, this is what we've been waiting for. We are finally entering VR's traditional Big 3 territory, where we can expect to see a AAA style release in October, November, and December. After one of the most lackluster years for VR releases in recent memory, I had all but given up hope that even the final stretch of 2025 would deliver, but nonetheless, here we are with some chunky-looking releases on the horizon. First up, we've got Reach from nDreams' AAA studio Elevation, which is launching on October 16th. After that, of course, is the ever-popular Merc with a Mouth, Deadpool, coming to VR courtesy of Meta's own Twisted Pixel Studio on November the 18th. And rounding out the trio is Thief from Vertigo Games and Maze Theory. And although we don't yet have a release date for that one, I would place a heavy wager that we'll see that in December. Heading into this lineup, I'll admit I am cautious, or at least I was cautious. The VR release calendar of the last 9 months has honestly left me wondering if maybe I just don't enjoy VR anymore. What I have discovered since then, though, is that that's not entirely true. I don't enjoy mediocre VR anymore. Exceptional VR, on the other hand, still absolutely lights me up. I had the pleasure recently of being asked to attend an in-person event held by the outstanding folk from the VR Gaming Showcase, where I was invited to spend an hour with Reach on PCVR. The demo was split into 4 hand-picked sections designed to show off different aspects of the game: onboarding and movement, world building, narrative delivery, and combat. Later, I was able to spend more time with the Quest build at home, revisiting those same slices. Across both platforms, one thing became very clear. Reach has rekindled my love of VR. Reach is a narrative-driven VR adventure built around action and parkour. The onboarding section establishes the movement system, and it is immediately impressive. Running, vaulting, all sorts of parkour-based shenanigans flow together naturally. As someone who has put plenty of hours into Stride, I felt at home straight away. Within minutes, I was hurling myself through levels with an ease and fluidity that's rare in VR movement. It's in fact one of the most intuitive systems that I've played to date. Combat layers neatly onto that foundation, centered around an energy bow that you sling from your shoulder. Archery in VR can be hit or miss, pardon the pun, but here it is handled with confidence. There is some aim assist, but it's subtle. It's enough to make you feel like an action hero without robbing you of the satisfaction of actually lining up your shots. When you're vaulting across ledges and loosing arrows mid-flight, the experience clicks into something special. Narrative delivery was another pleasant surprise. Usually, and don't hurt me for this, I'm the type to skip cutscenes and story beats to get straight to the gameplay, but Reach kept me invested. The sections I played were well presented with a cinematic flair that pulled me in, and I found myself genuinely wanting to know what would happen next. It's paced well too. The story sections give you just enough context before dropping you back into a bit of movement or some combat. The combat-focused segment of the demo, though, was the absolute highlight. By that stage, you've unlocked a shield that is pure Captain America. You can wield it defensively or throw it around the environment with satisfying precision. Its implementation is easily among the best shield mechanics I've seen in VR. When you start combining the bow, the shield, a grappling hook, and different types of arrows, the combat possibilities just explode. Flow state takes over, and suddenly you're juggling tools and improvising in a way that only VR can deliver. I ran that section at least half a dozen times on the Quest build alone, just to chase that feeling again. Now visually, the PCVR demo was quite frankly breathtaking. It had the kind of polish and spectacle that made me literally stop mid-action and just take it in. Transitioning to the Quest build at home, things became a lot less rosy, and I will admit to having some real concerns for the standalone build. Despite the initial pang of disappointment coming to standalone from such lofty heights, things weren't too bad in the first of the 4 scenes. There was definitely some pop-in and frame rate stuttered a little, and textures were nowhere near my original experience, but the core mechanics were there. Once I shrugged off that visual downshift, I was still having fun. The second scene, however, has raised some serious alarms. Within a few minutes of beginning this section, I hit an area that tanked the frame rate so hard as to be completely unplayable. The game essentially seized up, and I had to hard restart the game, and the exact same thing happened for Omar as well. Promisingly though, the final scene, the one that is much more combat focused, played flawlessly on the Quest. I've played it, as I said before, no less than half a dozen times, and it captured that same fluid, dynamic gameplay that I experienced in my IRL demo session, and it gave me hope that all is not lost. When full review access is given, despite the fact that I will be playing this one on the PCVR for my own enjoyment, we will nonetheless vigorously road test the Quest build for our full review. With any luck, the next month will give Elevation just enough time that they need to get things running smoothly. Fingers crossed. So coming into this live event, I was, as I said, genuinely questioning my own enthusiasm for VR. But after spending time with Reach, and not to mention a few other games that have been sent this week, that doubt has all but been washed away. This is exactly the type of experience that reminds me why I fell in love with VR in the first place. Movement that feels freeing, combat that feels powerful, and a world that feels worth inhabiting. I was excited for Reach from the moment I saw its first trailer, but now, having played it, I can say without hesitation that this is my most anticipated title of the year. Of course, these are just impressions based on a curated demo. It's entirely possible that Endreams has shown me the 4 best pieces of the game and the rest of it may not live up to the same standard. But somehow, I don't think so. Everything I've seen so far points to a studio confident in its design and its capability of delivering. October the 16th can't come soon enough. If the Quest build can be polished enough to live up to even half of what I experienced in the demo, Reach has a real shot at being one of the best VR games we've seen in a long time. If you've enjoyed this video and would like to stay up to date with what the other games I referenced towards the end of that are, then click the subscribe button so that you won't miss out. I would hate for this information to be just out of reach. And scene.